up in their generation, especially with regards to the lack of technology. So speaking of our baby boomers, something I wanted to share was something I read on Reddit, where the user wrote that an Indian scammer got my parents to send him money by installing a remote desktop app. At this point, I'm conflicted whether to hate the criminal or admire his patience for actually letting my parents install the app. Now, however funny sounding this can be, we all know there's some truth to it. But the fact is that this generation has seen so much growing up, it's definitely left some imprints on their mental health, whether they would have liked it or not. So researchers now are actually able to explore the transmission of intergenerational trauma faced by survivors to the next kin. Now for Gen Z, it makes sense for them to talk to their friends and their therapists about this, but at the time this would have been considered a taboo, a stigma, and even a weakness. So next, speaking of the 80s, the kids of the 80s, we have Gen X. So when it comes to Gen X, they had new and advanced technology that they grew up with, even though it was in form of video games like Pac-Man and Mario Kart. But however, it's not to say that they haven't seen life-threatening events in their times as well. They've seen the Mumbai terror attacks, and even in those atmosphere of rage and resentment, anger and fear, the conversation of mental health was just not where it was supposed to be. Now, growing up with parents from the silent generation, there is a tendency for a child who has issues to go to a temple and pray. A large and growing number of Gen X individuals, because of this, believe that if they would have gotten the right help at the right time, it would have saved them from a world of pain, from getting diagnosed with multiple disorders later in life. But for a lot of them, it comes down to reality versus perception. Perception being that mental health is a place of importance in everybody's life, but reality suggests that it's still considered optional. Growing up, my mother is a counseling psychologist, and she's taught me a lot about this topic. So the more I understand, and I find myself explaining, correcting, and teaching other people about it as well. So let's see how Gen Z caused a surge in awareness for mental health. So I had a conversation with my mother a while ago where I asked her what the atmosphere around mental health looked like when she was growing up. And she said it wasn't spoken about even half as much as it is in today's day and age. Interestingly, one of the most common reactions I get from people when they find out I'm studying psychology is, "Oh, I already have your first patient ready." But the truth is, when their own children ask to get help, they say things like, "Get over it, it's all in your head." Now, it's very easy looking at incidents as such to judge people based on the time and era they were brought up in without taking into account the way society was at that time. Talking about Gen Z and how they've caused this awareness. So, as we all know, Gen Z is very tech savvy, very familiar with social media. Our days begin and end with checking our social media at least 10 times. Essentially, social media has been a boon to us because it helps us connect with different people in different parts of the world and relate to them on shared feelings. But it's also been a bane because having access to every blog, vlog, audio, video, conspiracy, it opens up a lot of room for negativity. What's very interesting is the fact that how Gen Z has been able to really bring up the conversation of mental health and get it to be talked about so freely. I've seen people closest to me break due to an inability to get the right help, but I've also seen some others who've taken their chances and today they're doing a lot better than they could have ever imagined. It's very important for people to feel like they're heard and that they have a voice. The topic of mental health has evolved so much over the last couple of years that we can only hope that it changes more for the better so that those who are fighting silent battles in their head can finally feel like they're being heard. Thank you.